Brian Randell. I've been in the industry multiple decades. I just finished a 3-year stint at GitHub, and I'm back to just doing my own thing with MCW, doing consulting, building Copilots and helping people with DevOps. I have a book called Essential DevOps that has been kind of sitting on the shelf waiting to be released, and that'll be out soon. And I'm, as always, excited to go to events like VSLive and share what I've learned and also learn from the audience. Every event is unique in some ways, but also the same in that you can count on seeing your fellow speakers, seeing great attendees, and that bi-directional exchange of information is great. But being up in Redmond is particularly fun because we're on campus and you just have this great vibe from all the Microsoft people there, and you get that one-on-one experience that you can't really get at even a big conference like Build or God forbid something like Ignite. There's such a great ratio of instructors and Microsoft staff to the individual attendee that you can ask those questions and really get those one-on-one answers about any of the core developer technology you'd expect. Even having been at GitHub and not there anymore, I still think Copilot is an amazing product. And if I didn't, I wouldn't talk about it. So that's one thing you can always count on. You're going to get the straight answer from me. And so I'm doing a workshop with some fellow Microsoft people on the first day of the event. It's a hands-on all-day workshop to really show you how to get the most out of it. As someone who's done developer education for multiple decades, we're often so busy just trying to get our day-to-day job done that we can't always dig into the tools to get more out of them. And so having a chance to get hands-on, I think, is a great experience. And then you're also going to get that information from people who build it as well as people who use it daily on how you can get more out of it. So I'm really excited to be talking about that. Copilot's got this new agent mode where you give it some commands and it will go and write the code for you, and you then review it and get it in there. GitHub Models is another thing I'm going to talk about, which is a great way to explore different LLMs and different AI technologies, free and easy, right from your browser to see what's going to work best for you. And of course, I still, with as great as AI is, as much as you may vibe code, there's no vibe debugging. You need to know what you're doing, and you need to understand the small scale of the developer experience right inside the IDE, but always out to that. How do we take ideas and get them all the way to your customer? How do we go from CI/CD to the actual customer and get that closed feedback loop? And so ultimately, we're looking at how do we empower you to embrace both AI but not feel replaced by it. So one of the topics, of course, is going to be agentic DevOps. What does it mean to use AI and agents as part of the DevOps process? And we'll still start at the top with people, process, and then finally the products, the technology that we use. So I think we have a lot to share, and those are just things I'm doing. We have an entire dedicated track to different bits of AI technology that can help you be productive. But also, if you're anti-AI, if you want to be the curmudgeon, hey, you're welcome as well, because we've got those core technologies covered without AI, just how you can use them and be more productive. So we really believe we've built a rich corpus of content with both Microsoft and third-party speakers to really let you know what's going on and to give you that, up to the moment, what's happening, what's innovative. And, I promise you, Microsoft has some surprises that they're going to announce. And so, what better way to experience that but be there in person, be able to talk to them right away. A big one is we have a human factors track, and that's dedicated to being a better practitioner within the software engineering practice. So whether you want to focus just on development, code quality, getting products out there, managing it, process, we've got something in the area which just says, look, let's talk about this. But we've had sessions in the past on how's AI impacting your work, and so each presenter is always looking at how do we address the human concern as well as the technological concern. There's moments where I think vibe coding is good. It's a great way to explore and learn. I don't see, I'm still not convinced it's the way developers will be building their line of business applications, and definitely enterprise software. So yes, vibe coding I think is something that I'll be talking about it, especially when I talk about Copilot. But I'm not out there pitching it as a lifestyle, that's for sure. AI is obvious. The reality is that you can't escape it. If you're in the Microsoft ecosystem, it is something that we're always talking about. But even when you look outside, I mean, whether you go to Google with their stack, Amazon, or the big players like OpenAI and Anthropic, it is permeating how we build software, and you really can't ignore it. So you just have to decide, what way do you want to embrace it? And there's different ways, of course. I think at a minimum, it's a great way to learn and have education on what it means and hear from people that are using it, and then be able to make a conscious decision. But another thing to consider is that the reality is, with or without AI, people want great applications. They want them to be fast. They want them to be secure. And if you're coming to an event like VSLive, you're expecting to hear how you're going to do that with tools like .NET. .NET 10 is on the horizon. Visual Studio keeps getting updated. I'm sure Microsoft will have some great stuff to talk about there. We've got folks from the SQL Server team. SQL Server 2025 is on the horizon as well. And so even if you throw AI out the window, those core technologies keep getting better. You need to know how to use them and how to build the applications and solutions that your customers demand. Number one is just the number of Microsoft people you'll get a chance to interact with is going to be, at a good big VSLive show, we may have 5 to 10. You're going to have access to more than 50 across different products. So there's just no question you have the opportunity to really find someone at Microsoft who works on the product you care about to talk to, and really have that one-on-one conversation, that high bandwidth stuff that you can't get from forums, that you can't get from blog posts, that one-on-one. You also get to see the campus and see what a great place it must be to work there. You get to eat where the employees eat, and you get a chance to go shop in the employee store. And those are all unique aspects. But the fact that we're going to have so many people that are both speaking, we have a huge Microsoft presence for speaking this year, and we'll have Ask the Experts, they'll be there, as well as we have our Birds of a Feathers lunch, where there will be a Microsoft person at a table discussing their topics. And so we'll have at least anywhere from 10 to 20 of those just in that area alone, plus the reception and the other events. So I think it's a chance to just get to the source, right? To get to the people that build the tools and technologies we use. For sure, number one is Tuesday's keynote, The Future of Visual Studio, which is being delivered by Mads Christensen. Mads is well known in the community for just building an enormous amount of extensions. And he loves Visual Studio. And so to get to hear that from him and the other co-presenters is going to be awesome. But then there's things like, Next Gen SQL projects, which is being done by Drew from the Microsoft SQL Server team. David Myrie, there's an idea that I like SQL Server. He's also doing some great talks on that. And then, there's a great session I'm looking forward to on ensuring scalability and security for serverless functions on Azure. And that's by Tiago Almeida. And that's going to be great because I think Azure Functions are a great bit of technology I use in my cloud-based solutions. And so I'm always looking at get more out of it and, of course, keeping them secure. Well, one word, agents, right? Agents, agents, agents. At least that's what it is today. With agentic AI and dare I say agentic DevOps, right? We're looking at how agents can remove the drudgery and do the essential things we need, and then that way we have more time to focus on delivering value and adding features. Because for every application we build, there's a core set of things that have to be done. Whether a human does it line by line, push button by push button, click by click, or if we can have the agents work as partners, we can really get a lot more done and have them do the repetitive things. Computers are really good at those repetitive checks and things, and we're really good at creativity. And so bringing those two together, to let us get more done is fantastic. And so I think that is probably the number one thing on my mind. While, it's still fresh. And so you shouldn't feel like, your job's going away tomorrow. Yeah, things will change just like they did in the day. Banks, for example, I know I had a friend who worked at one. In the 80s, they used to have typing pools. There were people in a big room that would get documents that had to be typed up. We don't do that anymore because we have word processors. Well, that didn't end the world. It's going to cause change. It's going to cause us to rethink. And I think that's where you have to be prepared is, shore up the things that you're really good at and unique at, and not just the things that anybody can do, right? Anybody can write, a little bit of code, but can you build solutions? Can you build systems? Can they be fast, secure? And do you know how to use AI as a tool in your tool belt, not necessarily as a way to replace you? I think you have to realize two things, right? The world's going to change with or without you. And if you really are not able to keep up, it's a great opportunity to escape your day to day, get out of the office, and really, condense into 1 week what, if you went to university or school, would be multiple semesters worth of work.